Hello, everyone, and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 767, 767, Tuesday, April 30th, 2019. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, let's get to the news and see what we got here. Alrighty, let's start off right here. Well, most of you have heard that Rodenstein has resigned. His resignation effective May 11th, which will be, I guess, here in just about less than 2 weeks. Okay, so what's pretty interesting about this is I read the letter that he wrote, and boy, when you read the letter, you'd think that he and Trump were great friends, bosom buddies, because he kind of talks, glowingly about Trump and about, how he enjoyed Trump's humor in their private conversations and all this kind of stuff. So it's really a letter that's, fairly heaps some pretty good praise on Trump, and Rodenstein acts as if they've had this great relationship. This is the guy who's accused of wanting to wear a wire and participate in the 25th Amendment coup. This is the guy who put Uncle Bob the Executioner in there without any predicate crime. This is a guy who allowed this stuff to go on for several years. This is the guy that expanded the scope memo to allow Uncle Bob to dig into the dossier and use the dossier for most of his work in the Mueller report. And Rodenstein just let it go on, and he was going to continue to let it go on until A.G. Barr came in and put the kibosh on the whole program. And so what is going on with Rodenstein? Rodenstein. Well, he looks like a rat. I refer to him pretty much as a rat. A rodent is a rat. So anyway, here's what I think kind of happened with Rodenstein. So I think A.G. Barr comes in. And I think he understands exactly what he's looking. He knows what he's going to do. Barr knew exactly what he was going to do. He knew he was going to come in and take over the Mueller investigation, which, remember, he wrote Rodenstein a letter, Barr did, about a year ago, taking issue with Rodenstein about allowing the special counsel to expand into an obstruction investigation, and Barr laid out the case for why he didn't feel that there was a need to be going for an obstruction investigation here. So clearly, Barr and Rodenstein are not necessarily on the same sheet of music, and I don't know that they're even great friends or anything. So that I'm sure they knew each other. But, I think what happened is Barr knew he was going to come in, he was going to be dealing with two heavy-duty issues. Number one, he was going to inherit the Mueller investigation, which he wanted to put the kibosh on as quickly as possible and bring it to a conclusion. And he was also going to be dealing with, after that ended, dealing with trying to come to terms with what exactly happened in the 2016 election, and on the other side about the spying and about the what we refer to here as the attempted coup or whatever. Barr knew he was going to be grappling with these two issues, and he knew that he was going to be in a hostile environment with the Democrats now controlling the Congress. So Barr understands very well. He's been around Washington a long time. He was the Attorney General once before in a very kind of heated political environment. So he understood, I think, exactly what he was going to be walking into. So I think when he came in, I think he made a pretty clear decision to hold on to Rodenstein because he wanted to use Rodenstein. And he knew that he probably had some good leverage on Rodenstein because of the fact that Rodenstein actually put in Uncle Bob without any predicate crime. And, of course, this talk about the 25th Amendment, although I don't think that was around when, may have been, I can't remember exactly, but regardless, and it's something else to remember here, too. Back when Barr was the first time, and he was Attorney General in the Bush administration, when they called him in, when Bush called him in, Herbert Walker Bush called him in to interview him for the AG position, he told Barr that he and they, meaning his team, had already also selected a guy they wanted to be the Deputy Attorney General. At which point Barr said, well, I would like to choose my own Deputy Attorney General. At which point Bush said, well, I understand that, but, this is a guy we really like. I'm sure you'd like him as well. You might even know him. We want this guy. At which point Barr said, well, no, exactly what I just said. I want to name my own Attorney General. And then Bush said, well, are you saying that if you don't get to name your own Deputy Attorney General that you wouldn't accept the position? And Barr said, yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't get to name my Deputy AG. You can offer it to someone else. I'll take the walk. So what does that tell you? It tells you that Barr likes naming his own deputy AG. So why did he come in and hold on to Rodenstein for as long as he did? I mean, he's already named his deputy attorney general. He's already been named, and he's ready to go. But for some reason, he wanted to hold on to Rodenstein. So what this tells me is that Barr probably thought, you know what, Rodenstein, I got him by the short hairs. He's involved in a lot of things. He signed off on the final FISA warrant against Carter Page. He's part of this coup. He's the one that put Mueller in place. He's the one who's protected Mueller. He's been blocking attempts by the Congress to conduct oversight, getting documents. He's been involved in that. So Barr kind of knew what he was walking into, but I think he probably called in Rodenstein probably early on and said, I'll tell you what, Rod, you know, this stuff about, you know, you wearing a wire or whatever, it's a problem. I know you are, of course, the one who appointed Mueller. It doesn't appear there was any predicate crime there. I'm looking into that. I will be looking into that. There's a lot of problems, Rod. But I'll tell you what, you put all this stuff into motion by appointing special counsel, and you've got a lot of problems. So what I want you to do is I want you to stick around. I want you to stick around, and then I want you to shut up until it's time for the Mueller report to come out. And then I want you right there behind me, showing full support for me and the whatever decision we're going to make on the Mueller report. And then once that's all over, we'll let you go. And we'll see what we can do about making sure that the people who were involved in a lot of the stuff that you guys were involved in, we'll make sure that you have an opportunity to cooperate and assist us in figuring out exactly what happened in the 2016 election. So I want you to stick around. You're going to give me your full support. We're going to give you some cover, and then you're going to help me as a witness when we go to sort this thing out after the Mueller report's over, out, and done, and we move on to the real investigation of what really happened in 2016. That's what you're going to do, Rod. Your career depends on it. And I think that's pretty much what happened. I think the Barr basically told Rodenstein, here's what you're going to do, and here's why you're going to do it. And I think Rodenstein probably was like, yep, okay, whatever. So anyway, I think that that's probably what happened, and therefore I would have to say that Rod Rodenstein is very likely the first person that Barr turned to testify against and provide evidence against the deep state, the people who tried to orchestrate the coup, of which he was a part. But I think that he's probably been the first witness to be turned by Barr. I think that's probably what happened. That's just a guess. Okay, let's go on to the next story. This next story, I haven't actually reported on this, but it was out there like 2 or 3 days ago, and I didn't touch the story because I don't like these stories. Because so oftentimes you find out they're false or fake news or whatever. So I stay off these types of stories of sexual allegations against people for the most part until it's pretty clear, you know, what's going on. So anyway, I guess there was a story out there popped up a few days ago about this 21-year-old college student named Hunter Kelly, who had made accusations of Mayor Pete Buttigieg, that Pete Buttigieg had sexually assaulted him. So this has been hanging around out there for like 2 or 3 days, and I kind of stayed away from it because it just smelled fishy to me. And so as of today, it looks like the folks over at Big League Politics have finally made contact with this individual, Hunter Kelly. He is stating that is not true. It was a hoax. Someone obviously took over his Facebook or Twitter or whatever and made this comment that he said is not true. And he is a Trump supporter. He's a Republican. But he said that the story that he was assaulted by Mayor Pete is not true, and he plans on making a more formal announcement of that because he's been getting harassed by a lot of reporters and people in the last few days. But as it turns out, this report is a hoax, and there's nothing to it, so I'm glad I stayed off of it. Next, we have Creepy Joe. That's right, Creepy Joe Biden held his first televised rally, and it appears that only about 2,000 people actually tuned in to listen to Uncle Joe, Creepy Uncle Joe. But there were some very good comments from the viewers who did tune in to Creepy Joe's campaign rally. and mostly negative. A few of them are, let's see, we had Sniff Someone Joe, we had Kitty Fiddler, we had Parents Protect Your Children, and Sleepy Creepy Joe, among other insults. So it didn't look like it went very well for Creepy Joe, considering what Trump rallies look like. You look at a Biden rally compared to a Trump rally, it's no comparison. And it didn't seem to go very well for Creepy Joe. Now, I've got a message for Creepy Joe because I think he probably watches my TowerGate videos, be my guess. I'm sure he tunes in daily. So if you're out there, Creepy Uncle Joe, here's my advice to you. Drop out. Drop out. You've only been in there for a few days. Right now, you could easily step up to the podium and say, you know what? I don't know what happened the last couple of days. I just had a crazy spell and announced I was running for president, but after rethinking this thing, I don't think it's such a good idea. So, plenty of people in the field don't really need me in there anyway. I'm pretty much the rotten Reverend Clinton without the Chairman Mao pantsuit. So, I'm just going to go ahead and get back to private life. Just forget about it. Didn't matter anyway. That's what I would suggest that you do, Uncle Joe, Creepy Joe. I think that you should get out of the race as soon as possible, because it's not going to work out for you very well. You got a lot of problems coming up down the road, Creepy Joe. You got the Ukraine thing, which is bubbling and bubbling and bubbling at the surface right now, just waiting to explode. You're up to your eyeballs in Spygate, Creepy Uncle Joe. And when it comes time to ask, what did he know and when did he know it, not only is your former boss, Barack Hussein Obama, going to be facing that question, you too, Creepy Joe, are going to be facing that question. What did you know and when did you know it? Because you know what? You knew everything, didn't you, Creepy Joe? That's right, you knew it all. You were a part of the coup plot. Not a good place to be here in about 3 or 4 months. Trust me. Of course, the SJWs don't like you. AOC is already lining up all her friends to make sure that you get dissed. And based on the comments from your first rally, it looks like you're not very popular. You're not very popular. And that's another good reason, not to mention that the rotten Reverend Clinton is sitting back just waiting to drop the bomb on you. So, the only thing coming down the road for you, Creepy Uncle Joe, is a lot of problems. A lot of problems. The best thing you could do, drop out and lawyer up. Go underground. Be quiet. Say nothing. And hope that this thing passes you by. Hope that it leaps right from Comey right to Obama and pretty much skips you. But as long as you're out there in the public spotlight, running for president, you're going to draw a great big target on yourself. And you're a target for a lot of people right now, Creepy Uncle Joe. The SJWs don't like you. The far left doesn't like you. The Bernie Bros don't like you. The Rotten Reverend, she's not going to let you have the nomination. Let's put it that way. Because that, as far as she's concerned, it's hers. And you've got a lot of problems with the Ukraine corruption. There was just a devastating piece that was done over this past week on your entire history in the Congress and all the corruption that you've been a part of for many, many years. Your accusations against Anita Hill that she was lying, and she was, and you were right on that. But you're on the team that doesn't go for that sort of thing, Creepy Joe. So it just looks like to me that staying in this race, you're only going to draw, put a target on yourself and draw a lot of fire on yourself, Creepy Uncle Joe. You're rich, you're stupid, and right now you're not under criminal investigation. If you want to stay that way, I suggest you drop out, Joe. Drop out. That's my advice, Creepy Joe. Drop out of the race. I hope you take my advice, because if you don't, 3 to 4 months from now, you're going to be sorry. And I told you so. Now, let's move on. Okay. Oh, we have the Rotten Reverend Clinton. She's giving advice to the Democrats, and she says, don't get on the wrong side of Putin. Don't get on the wrong side of Putin. Well, so I guess you're suggesting that they shouldn't try to have a Russian reset, complete with a little plastic reset button, with the words misspelled, of course. And I guess that means that you shouldn't be allowing the Russians or helping the Russians to get control of a good percentage of America's uranium. Probably don't want to do that for Putin. I guess that's what she's talking about. And you probably don't want to send your husband over to Russia to have a personal meeting in Putin's home and then go collect, 160 some odd thousand $1 million or so into your Clinton Foundation or your foundation, whatever you have going on there. So, yeah, good advice from the Right Reverend Clinton. Don't get on the wrong side of Putin, and that particular side would be his buddy. Because that's what you were, Reverend. You were Putin's buddy. Now, this tells us a lot about the Right Reverend Clinton, which obviously tells us that still after 3 years, she's almost 3 years, she still has not gotten over losing. She'll never get over losing. And the problem for the Right Reverend Clinton is she was so embarrassed by that defeat that she simply cannot admit that she lost fair and square. She cannot admit that people really don't like her all that much. So she has to have something else to blame the loss on, because she simply can't admit that fact. So this is going to continue forever. She is never, ever, ever going to publicly accept that she lost fair and square, because that would be admitting that she sucks, and she simply can't do that. So that's why we're going to have to put up with her until Attorney Barr hopefully puts her in jail and shuts her up. Please, God, get it done. The Epoch Times. So the Epoch Times has now gone through and reviewed the Mueller report in detail. And they have found in the Mueller report, or the dossier, they've gone through the dossier and the Mueller report. And they have found in the dossier that there were 103 specific claims made in the dossier that would suggest some sort of criminal activity between Trump or his associates and the Russians. 103 specific claims made in the dossier. And as they point out here in the Epoch Times, the Mueller report did not confirm a single one. Not a single one. 103 specific claims made, not a single one proven to be true. Nor was there anything of the 103 specific claims where any evidence was provided that the claim was true. Doesn't appear that they even tried. There you go. Remember, that's the same dossier that was used to get a FISA on Carter Page 4 times. And we don't know who else. We assume that there's other FISAs. We just haven't learned about that yet. Of course, the dossier was created, according to Christopher Steele, in a deposition he gave, sworn deposition that he gave. The dossier was created, quote, so the DNC and the Clinton campaign could consider steps they would be legally entitled to challenge the validity of the 2016 election. The purpose of the dossier, according to Christopher Steele, was to provide something that they could use to challenge the validity of the 2016 election. 103 specific claims made, 0 confirmed or proven true by the Mueller report, and apparently not a single one did they ever even try to provide evidence for. That's fairly damning, don't you think? Sebastian Gorka says that he has a source that tells him that there are criminal referrals for those that lied to the FISA judges, and that it is coming very soon, as in like a week or two. And of course, once again, the Clintons who can't keep their mouths shut, the odious Clintons, the most audacious people on the planet, making a comment suggesting that they want to send A.G. William Barr back to law school. Yes, they want to send William Barr back to law school. They don't think he's a very good lawyer, apparently. I don't know if Barr is hearing these comments, and I don't know how much this guy pays attention, because, there's a lot of politicians that are, most presidents and a lot of politicians, I mean, they read the papers every day. New York Times, Washington Post, they go online, they look at things. They're constantly keeping up with media. And then there's other people in Washington, various other people, like attorney generals and people like that, who don't read anything. They just don't read it. They just ignore it. But based on what we've seen from Barr prior to him becoming attorney general, he does keep up with what's going on in the news and various investigations, what's going on inside the Beltway, and all that sort of thing. He sounds like a guy who stays pretty much up on these things, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's hearing these comments that the Right Reverend Clinton is making, and now the Clintons together making this slight against him that he needs to go back to law school or what have you. But this has got to be something that would get under his skin. It would certainly get under my skin. And man, with the damning evidence he has on the Right Reverend Clinton and Bill Clinton, if I were these two, I would shut the hell up. Because, I mean, I just saw a story, I guess, maybe a week and a half ago on Fox News' website that they have reopened an investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails. So, I don't know what's going on. I mean, when you hear all these things, I've heard it so many times, I don't know what to think about it. But maybe Barr is reopening that case. I just don't know. But I do know this, that it's not a good idea to be constantly screwing with the guy who's holding a lot of evidence on you. But this just tells you how the Clintons are. I mean, they are literally just, it's just hard to imagine the chutzpah that these people have. I mean, they're guilty as hell. They're literally they've been running a 50-plus year crime spree across the country. Tons of evidence, and a lot of things that they've done over the years, including their most recent crimes. And here we have a guy who's in a position to expose those crimes and hold him accountable, and they're poking him in the eye on a regular basis. And we'll see how much of this stuff William Barr is able to put up with before he finally loses it and says, okay, I'm sick of these people. Watch this, I mean, he could, like I said, I mean, the evidence is there. The Right Reverend Clinton, he could indict her tomorrow. Literally. He could swat rate her ass tomorrow morning with what we know that she did. Just because the Obama administration and Comey and his crew let her off the hook doesn't mean that there aren't other things out there or that they can't reopen the investigation now that they've gotten more information. Judicial Watch just discovered thousands and thousands of more emails in the White House, Obama White House. So there's a lot going on here. And I hope they keep it up, because eventually, I have to think that eventually Barr is just going to, get pissed off and really start going after these people, and he should. Okay, we have Joe Biden. Again, he says he wants to restore America's soul. Joe Biden wants to restore America's soul. He just got finished being involved in a massive plot to carry out a palace coup against the president. He's involved deeply in mega corruption in Ukraine. He's got a long history of corruption. And this guy wants to restore America's soul. America doesn't give a damn, creepy Uncle Joe. Their souls are just fine. What they're really concerned with is their tax rates, immigration policy, health care, the environment, whatever. They're concerned with many other things. But the last thing anyone needs to be preached about or corrected on or helped with is their soul. Drop out, Joe. Drop out, creepy Joe. Take my advice. If you don't, you will regret it. Everybody's asking, what did Obama know and when did he know it? He knew everything. That's the answer. What did Loose Lisa Page say to Peter's Been Stroking Us? Meeting at the White House tomorrow. The White House wants to know everything we're doing. Now, what did Obama know and when did he know it? He knew everything they were doing. Loose Lisa Page told us that. Of course he knew everything they were doing. Yep, and it goes all the way back to even before Trump even announced he was running for president. We're now learning that he was involved in the corrupt stuff going on in Ukraine in 2014. And when Trump announced for president, by that time, the FBI had already set up operations in the embassy the Ukrainian embassy, and we're already involved in getting information that would eventually find its way into the media, to Confusion GPS, to the Hillary Clinton campaign. So the Obama administration, including Obama himself, I mean, you have to be an idiot to think that Obama is the head of his administration and all these things are going on and he knows nothing about it. That they're literally working on carrying out a coup against the president all the way up, not like low-level people trying to do some stuff, the heads of the intelligence agencies, heads of the FBI, Department of Justice, all involved in this, and we're supposed to believe that Obama doesn't know anything about it? No way. No way anybody believes that. Obama knew everything. That's the answer to that question of what did Obama know and when did he know it. He knew everything, and he knew it from the very beginning, from the get-go. Now, let's get to the dumbass of the week. Unbelievable competition this week. I mean, it was like down to the wire with very, very close between the top four people, really. And we ended up this week, again, I believe it's, I tallied it up, yeah. Again, it's another of two-way tie for first and a two-way tie for third. So, very, very close voting this week. So, let's go through this. Dumbass of the week. Okay, we had John Wan. He went with Ben Rhodes, Silly Sally Yates, and Judge Knapp. We had Patty, who went with Nadler. And by the way, Patty, sorry I'm so confused on Dumbass of the Week. I can't remember the date that I originally started trying to do it. But ideally, I wanted to... The idea is I wanted to be able to announce the Dumbass of the Week on Monday. But because I do my Monday video on Sunday night, you know, it gets weird. So anyway, I'll try to do the Dumbass of the Week for everybody to get their votes in on Sunday night. It will be my goal in the future. But sometimes, depends on the news of the day, how much time I have, and it might get pushed back to Monday. But I will try in the future to make the nominating and commenting on who you want for Dumbass of the Week to be on the Sunday night video so I can announce it on Monday instead of on Tuesday. I'm going to try to hold to that, but it's tough because it's kind of driven by the news cycle. And if it's a real busy day and there's a lot to go on, this is something I do for fun, and it'll get pushed back. But that's what I'm going to try to do. So Patty, she went with Nadler. Very good choice, man. Very good choice. This guy, he's got a lot of problems. We had Gordon. He went with Silly Sally, Ben Rhodes, and Nadler. Thomas, he went with Yates. Silly Sally Yates. Whoa, I think she's got a criminal indictment coming our way. We have Babs. She went with Bite Me. Joe Bite Me. Dr. Lee. He went with Nadler. Sir Jazz. The parrot. The parrot from the previous video that told the drug dealers that the cops were coming and the cops ended up arresting the parrot. Very well done, Sir Jazz. Gitmo. He went with Biden with his comment about there not being even the whisper of a scandal in the Obama administration. Now, that is a classic line right there. That is absolutely classic gaffe by Joe Biden. It's a complete opposite of that. It was the most scandalous administration in the history of the country, maybe of the world. And I think over the next 3-4 months, that's going to prove to be true. Let's see. We had Iowa Russian Stormy Deplorable Bot. That's a hell of a name. He went with he or she. I'm not sure if it's a he or she, but they went with Yates, Biden, and Judge Knapp. A lot of people picked Judge Knapp this week. He's not very popular. Then we have Joe. Joe went with the Neckers. The Neckers. Nadler, Yates, and Schiff. And I guess he said that Nadler has no neck. Sally's got the long neck. And Schiff has got the pencil neck. The Neckers. Well done, Joe. Mike G, our good friend from the UK across the pond. And Mike says he's going with Joe Bite Me, Buttigieg, and Nadler. Dennis Waddell, he went with Rhodes. Oh, yeah, Ben Rhodes. Man, did you guys watch that video? Did he look frightened or what? He looked pretty nervous, and he lied his ass off. Dennis Waddell went with Rhodes, Adam Schiff, and Ocasio-Cortez. John R., he went with de Blasio. Oh boy, Bill de Blasio. We never talked much about him because he's kind of New York politics and we cover mostly national. But yeah, Bill de Blasio, he's got yeah, I wish he would have jumped in the Democratic field. That would have been even more entertaining because that guy is really wingnut. So John R. went with de Blasio, Bernie, and the Rotten Reverend Clinton. Jack Hudson, he went with the Rotten Reverend Clinton, Nadler, and the Pencil Neck Geek, the Bug-Eyed Fool, Adam Schiff. Peter, he went with Nadler, Biden, and Judge Knapp. Gene, he went with William Rose. Of course, William Rose, I believe, is the individual who tossed the cell phone at the Trump rally up in Wisconsin. Yeah, if you're tossing anything at the president, especially a solid object, you can absolutely be sure you're going to get arrested by the Secret Service, and that is clearly a dumbass thing to do. No question about it. So Gene went with William Rose and Joe Bite Me. Jack Kennedy, he went with Nadler and the Bug-Eyed Fool, Adam Schiff. We had Sherman Lynn, he went with Jerry Nadler as well. Fern, the choice for Fern is going to be creepy Joe Biden. No question about that. Dennis Shaw, he likes Judge Knapp for Dumbass of the Week. We have Alan Williams, he went with Nadler. Kilda Saints went with Judge Knapp. Michael Lee goes with Rachel Madcow. That's right, let's not forget Rachel Madcow. She's well, I mean, at any time you could dumbass of the hour, and you could pull a Madcow clip out, and she would be in contesting for that award. Silly Sally Yates, along with Ben Rhodes. Then we had Joe Mack, of course. Good to hear from you again, Joe Mack. He went with Brennan and Clapper. Always a good choice. We have Mary Willis, who just stopped in to say hi and let us know she's supporting Biden. Joe Bite Me for Dumbass of the Week. And, of course, we have Young Blood choosing Nadler, Biden, and the Bug-Eyed Fool, Adam Schiff. So very, very close, as you can see this week, because we had three, maybe four people really dominated this week with Nadler and his idiocy, Bite Me with his stupidity, Judge Knapp with his bad diagnosis on the law. We have, of course, Silly Sally Yates. They were all very, very popular this week. So it looks like we're going to have a dead even tie for first place again. Both Nadler and Biden getting 11 votes each. 11 votes each for Nadler and Biden for a first place tie for Dumbass of the Week. So they can share that great honor of Dumbass of the Week for this week. Jerry Nadler and Joe Bite Me. Second place, all by himself, Judge Knapp. Judge Knapp. You know, I never thought I'd probably see Judge Knapp make it to Dumbass of the Week, but he performed very, very well with his misdiagnosis of the law on obstruction of justice. He needs to reread Article 2. Then, of course, bringing up the rear, but not by much. I mean, Yates and Schiff both got, let's see, Yates and Schiff? Yeah, they dead even tied. Yates and Schiff each receiving 7 votes. And so there we go.